How exactly is Asajj Ventress back? Was she resurrected, or was she ever killed in the first place? Her return in the Bad Batch has been sending tremors throughout the Star Wars fanbase. Along with the return of this character, many were concerned that her return wouldn't actually make sense or be warranted. Many are concerned that they are just bringing back another character for no reason, as her death in the novel of Dark Disciple was quite final, and it punctuated her character arc perfectly. A lot of the time, Star Wars does have the tendency to bring back to life characters who should definitely stay dead. But after comments made by the directors of the Bad Batch stating that Ventress's return would make absolute sense in line with the Dark Disciple novel, and after we went back and finished the Dark Disciple novel yet again ourselves, we believe that her return does make sense. And today, we're going to open up a holocron and recap Ventress's death to explain exactly why there is no doubt that she survived her final moments in the Dark Disciple novel, and that the novel is still completely canon. I think to begin this journey, let's take a look and recap the novel itself, and get in the specifics of Ventress's death. The events of the titular Dark Disciple novel were actually based off of an unreleased episode arc of the original Season 7 of the Clone Wars. The book follows Jedi Master Quinlan Vos, who is given a top secret mission by the Council to assassinate Dooku. This is a dark time where the Council has decided to take very extreme measures in order to win the war, measures which result in catastrophe. The Council encourages Quinlan to seek out Ventress for help, as by now she is a bounty hunter who has started a new life, sporting a brand new haircut as well as a yellow blade. Ventress has completely distanced herself from the ways of the Sith and the Jedi, and is struggling with her feelings towards the dark side and maintaining balance, now seeing it for the lie that the darkness truly was, and the lie of the Sith, but having trouble letting go of her hatred. Her yellow blade perfectly reflects this. As we mentioned before, she feels like it is a better representation of who she is. She has rejected the ways of the dark, no longer choosing to wield a red lightsaber or having imprinted on a crystal. Instead, Ventress received her lightsaber off of the black market and is using it for her own bounty hunter purposes, embracing the yellow since it is a color that is no longer used by the Jedi, only by the temple guards that have been passed down for generations. Quinlan is after Ventress because she is the one who spent the most time with Dooku, eventually finding Ventress and convincing her to help him assassinate Dooku. Ventress is heavily reluctant for the majority of the first part of the novel. She eventually, though, relents and decides to help the Jedi Master the only way that she knows how. Aware of the raw power that the Count held in the dark side, she knew that Quinlan on his own power alone would be no match for the Sith. So Ventress takes him to Dathomir and pushes him into accepting the dark side to complete his mission and stand any chance. Quinlan becomes convinced that if he balances on the knife between the light and the dark, that he will have the knowledge and the power to defeat Dooku. During all of this training, Ventress and Quinlan grow closer, and eventually they do fall in love. When they go to attempt to assassinate Dooku on Sereno, their plan though goes horrifically wrong, and Quinlan is captured by Dooku. Dooku proceeds to torture Quinlan for several months before fully turning him to the dark side, revealing that it was Ventress that killed his old master in the Jedi Thome. Dooku did this by giving Quinlan Thome's lightsaber and having him use his ability in psychometry to watch his master's death. Now fully engulfed by the dark side, Quinlan helps Dooku for a time, and even pretends as if he has embraced the light yet again when Ventress and the Jedi capture him and take him back to the temple. However, we later learned that Vos was playing the long game this entire time, and succumbed to the dark side so that Dooku would lead him to Sidious, believing that he could kill both of the Rule of Two Sith at the same time. Once Quinlan uncovered the identity of Sidious, he planned to tell the Jedi so that they could all take out both Sith in one fell swoop. Unfortunately though, Quinlan plays his cards far too close to his chest, and takes everyone, including Ventress, through a roller coaster of emotion. Quinlan was convinced that he had everything under control, and did not realize how much he was using the dark side. Ventress was heartbroken that he had joined Dooku, and didn't understand why he was continually keeping secrets from her. This continues up and down until Quinlan tells Ventress just to trust his plan, and she eventually agrees with him, going so far as to help Quinlan as well as Dooku escape the custody of the Jedi. However, Obi-Wan and Anakin quickly pursue them, and the Republic begins bombing the fortress that Quinlan, Dooku, and Ventress are being held in. Ventress is heavily injured from the collapsing debris, and finally gets Quinlan to admit the truth of everything that he has planned. While they are talking in secret, an equally injured Dooku rises from the ashes and sends an absolutely deadly wave of force lightning right at Quinlan's back. Finally choosing the light once and for all, Asajj Ventress force shoves Quinlan out of the way, saving his life, and taking the full fury of Dooku's lightning on her already weakened body. In that instant, Quinlan snaps back to the light permanently, and the Count manages to escape. Anakin and Obi-Wan had arrived just in time to watch all of this unfold, and Ventress has some sweet dying words to say to her love before succumbing to her injuries in a final breath. Obi-Wan vouches for Quinlan in front of the council, and they allow the two Jedi to give Ventress a proper burial out of respect for what she has done. As Obi-Wan and Quinlan take Ventress in her casket back to her world of Dathomir, Quinlan knows exactly where to bury her, in the Night Sister caverns, where there was a pool of water steeped in the darkness. It is revealed that there had once been a Night Sister monster which lived in the pool known as the Sleeper, one that Quinlan executed as his initiation to the dark side. Both Quinlan and Obi-Wan would say some final words before lowering Ventress's body into the ancient pool, and then something shocking begins. As soon as her body was submerged, tendrils of mist began to rise, green and glowing. This looked identical to the Dathomirian magics performed by the Night Sisters. From the depths, eerie but comforting whispers welcomed Ventress as the mist began to rise. The novel ends here with Quinlan assuming that this was meant to be Ventress's return home, her sisters welcoming her at the gate for the great beyond. It was a bittersweet ending, but an ending that we think there is much more to. We released this in a tweet, but there is a quote by the supervising director of The Bad Batch which states this: "We don't want to spoil anything, but want fans to know that any new storytelling with Ventress will align with the events of Dark Disiple." Despite not wanting to spoil anything, the director has given us a ton to work with, especially considering all we know about the ending of the book. First off, let us of course speak of the pool. Obviously, Night Sister magic will be the main proponent of Ventress's return and resurrection. Our theory is that the pool will act a lot like the Lazarus pit, healing Ventress of her wounds. Ventress died with a lot left to say and do. She loved Quinlan dearly enough to sacrifice herself, and officially aligned with the light side. While she respects her Night Sister heritage, her soul belongs to the light and has much unfinished business. The dark side of the Night Sisters functions a lot differently than it does with the Sith, because they have a much different relationship with it from Peridea. Whereas the Sith embrace the hatred and the pain of the dark side, the Night Sisters embrace the passion and fear. In this way, the dark side itself is gentler with the Night Sisters. This could be passion for a few things, from Quinlan to revenge against Dooku. Seeing Ventress injured and presumably killed by the debris in the Force lightning, we have seen characters return from worse. Speaking of return, based on what we've seen in the Bad Batch, Ventress has been busy. Specifically, she seems to have retrieved one of her old lightsabers. This is unique and strange on a number of reasons, such as how she managed to retrieve it from the Jedi Temple. The last we saw them, Barriss Offee had stolen her twin-curved lightsabers during the Clone Wars, and then was disarmed of both of them in the gardens by Anakin. We don't know what happened to them, but it's clear that Ventress is able to get one of the sabers. In the novel, it is revealed that Ventress was able to purchase a yellow lightsaber off of the black market, but that was presumably destroyed, and the yellow crystal was eventually buried with her on Dathomir. As a side note, they originally used the model for Ventress's second yellow lightsaber for Season 7 and eventually gave it to that of Darth Maul in his own Season 7 appearance, believing that Ventress would not be returning to the Clone Wars anytime soon, and recycling the design of the saber staff into Maul. But exactly what happened to Ventress's two lightsabers are a mystery. The only question now is, what does Ventress want now that she is returned? Now that we are all familiar with Dark Disiple, and with the information provided to us by the supervising director, and we know that Night Sister magic has resurrected before, look no further than Marok in the Ahsoka series, who was previously an Inquisitor. I would say that the main reason Ventress has returned would be to look for Quinlan. The only reason she died in the first place was for him, and since we know thanks to the Kenobi series that he did in fact survive Order 66, it is likely that Ventress is looking for him. It's unclear whether or not Ventress has continued to be a bounty hunter, though it would make sense, especially since she's interacting with the Bad Batch. I think what would really be interesting is if Ventress got involved with the Underground Railroad for Jedi survivors like Quinlan. Either that, or she may be looking just to get away from the action and settle down somewhere quiet and out of the way. By the ending of Dark Disciple, Ventress was so sick of her former life that she was truly ready to lay it all down, giving up all adventure and power in order to run away with Quinlan, wanting more than anything to have a simple life, finally letting go of her hatred, even for Dooku. She only re-engaged to save Quinlan, and had come to terms with the fact that she would never be able to stop her former master, who of course is dead by now. What's fascinating now is Ventress is a character that does not align exclusively with either the light or the dark, and her relationship with the Force is a very unique one. Her use of the light side may be like Ahsoka's, but not as pure, giving us a character whose alignment in the Force is very unique, originally being raw and destructive, but now ready to walk away. Ventress has only ever been taught to use the Force in a single way, to be terrifyingly deadly, but now using the light side will make her a spectacle to behold. Ventress was powerful before, but now I think we're in for something truly special. But anyway, my friends, what are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on the Pool of Dathomir and Ventress's resurrection? What are your thoughts on the spirits of her ancestors calling her back to life to fulfill her goal? And after hearing this, was the death of Ventress from Dark Disciple not quite as final as you once believed? Thank you as always so much, my friends, for watching and tuning into the channel today, and may the Force be with you.